Thank you for joining us for this 15-minute franchisee interview. I am interviewing my friend Christine today. Christine, thank you for joining us.
Of course.
Yes, and if you would please, for our listeners, introduce yourself.
Happy to. My name's Christine Blum. I've been a right-at-home owner for 4.5 years. I own two territories, one in Hernando County, Florida, and Citrus County, Florida. So that's about an hour north of Tampa, as a reference.
Okay.
And 2 years ago, I decided to expand and went into Marion County, Florida. So 3 territories total.
Okay, awesome. And so what was your background before you became a right-at-home franchise owner?
Sure. So I'm sure a lot of owners are the same. I come from corporate America. I worked almost 25 years with Coca-Cola, kind of climbed my way up the ladder. And like probably a lot of franchisee, it just was time for a change. And I knew that I wanted, one, to own my own company. And I wasn't really sure what that would look like. So I actually went and hired a franchise broker, which was so valuable because she really helped me get inside and understand what was going to be fulfilling and satisfactory for me, hopefully at the last chapter of my career life. And there were so many options out there. I mean, I explored, preschools, barbershops, subways, but I just always kept getting drawn back into senior care. And that's probably because, I took care of my mom. She had Alzheimer's. This is back in my 30s. And I just kept getting drawn into that. So that's really how I sort of started my journey with Right at Home.
Okay, so that actually leads me to my next question I was going to ask. So, why did you choose Right at Home? And it sounds like, you're very valuable working with your franchise broker to kind of narrow down what is the best business for you and kind of narrowed it down to senior care. However, there are several options when it comes to franchising in the senior care space. So can you offer any insight as to why you chose Right at Home for that opportunity?
Absolutely.
Versus one of our competitors?
Absolutely. And you're right. There's lots of options in home care and, placement services. And I talked to many of them. It was a big decision for me and my husband. I think what made the difference for me was being able to go to Discovery Day and meet the leaders, meet the support staff that was going to support me. And keep in mind, I came from a franchisor side at Coca-Cola, so I kind of knew what to expect. But not only that, the fact that they interviewed us. It wasn't just, here you go, Christine, They interviewed us. And to me, that is protecting the brand, right? Like they want the right people in the franchise. That meant the world to me. So getting to know the leadership team and just what Right at Home stood for, and the validation calls and all of that, that just pointed me right to Right at Home.
Yes. Okay, great. Perfect. Thank you for that. So let's think back. You've been a franchise owner for 4.5 years. Think about when you first opened your business. So how has a typical day changed for you since you first opened your business? So think about what your life is like now, 4.5 years in, and how different it was when you first started. So let's talk about when you first started and what a typical day for you looked like versus now.
Sure. Okay. So, I mean, when I first started, it was, I had a team of 2.5, I think, and as the owner, right, you're just wearing all the hats. You're doing all the administrative activities. You're trying to build your brand, getting out there and networking and marketing. But then also kind of laying out the processes, recruiting, retention, assessments, events, networking. I mean, you're just doing it all.
Yeah.
And I think that's super valuable, frankly. Not that I wanted to do it forever. I hired an office manager pretty quickly to handle sort of the administrative function, to free me up to focus more on growing the business. And so I've been just so fortunate to have an awesome staff, which I think is so important. Not just that you have the right people in your staff, but that you structure I have 2 offices, so that becomes even more challenging. So you structure that staff to work together. So I'm no longer in the weeds. They always say, don't run your business, but oversee your business.
Yep.
So I'm still the leader. I still, am the voice of the culture. But I'm not in the weeds. I allow my staff to do what they do best, and that's the day-to-day operations. And I work much more on innovation, continuous improvement. I sit on several boards in the community. It's important to me to spread the word of how important senior care, and particularly dementia care, is, and to partner with like-minded leaders in the community. So I do much more of that now, but I'm still leading. You can't just lift up completely. So, and it's just so fulfilling, to be able to do that. I get to go on vacation. I just came back from Italy and Greece.
Awesome.
So after some time, you got to put the work in. And then once it's structured well and the processes are good and you have great people that you trust to manage your day to day, and they truly are a part of your mission as well, you can truly lift up and, move care for seniors more wholly, I guess, throughout the community. Yeah, I love it.
Okay, awesome. And that makes perfect sense. Okay, so you're doing a lot in your business. You wore all the hats. Now it's more kind of a strategic hat that you're wearing 4.5 years into this business. So being part of a franchise means that you get help and guidance and support from the franchisor. So if you were to choose one or two pieces of support that you get from Right at Home, which ones would you say are the most valuable to you?
Gosh, I have more than one or two, but if I had to choose, when you're running a business, so the work that Doug does, for example, like what's happening with government and politically, the advice they bring to us around Department of Labor laws, right? Those are things as an owner I'm not necessarily on top of. So that's hugely valuable, and staying on top of that. But then also the marketing. I mean, our marketing side of things is fantastic. You don't have to build your own stuff. Just go look for it, or give Stephanie a call, and she's going to make it happen. So, and the business coach, I mean, there's so much. There's just so much. I know I can make one phone call and somebody's like, you want to jump on a call? I'll walk you through it. It's great. Awesome. And that's what a franchise, should be, is your foundation support, allowing the owner to make their business their own,
Yes, that's great. Yeah. Okay. Another question for you. I'm kind of jumping around a little bit here. So if you can think of, and if it's okay if you can't think of a story or a specific time that you can describe for us, but this is the type of business that you have to have a passion for people, really. This is a very people-centered business. Can you provide a story of something that you've done as a Right at Home franchise owner that was just a really powerful moment for you? Either a family that you impacted, something that was just a feel-good moment for you, something that you're incredibly proud of. Because we talk all the time about this has to be the right fit for you, because it can be a very sensitive business at times, and so just looking for a story that you can share with the people that watch this on this is how this business has affected me in a
I have so many, and I still do my own orientations. I think that's important, so I'm always pulling from good stories. But this is the one I'll pull from. It was really early on. And we got a call from a family, their patriarch, really, name was Clyde, had dementia. He fell and broke his hip. He literally, within 2 hours of rehab, fell again because he forgot he fell and broke his hip, right? So they hired us just to keep him safe and to be there when he stood up, or to redirect him, and to walk with him as he is healing and getting better. And it was a 24/7 case, big deal. But overall, when it was all said and done, the Google review that she wrote was that we literally saved his life. literally saved his life, because he would have fallen again. He would have ended up in rehab. There's no way family can be with somebody like that 24/7. And it's a great story because we helped him heal. You have so many stories where you're there for the family at end of life, or we helped him heal. So he did go on to, live another year and a half. He's in his 80s. And that's the testimony they gave. And I pull on that story a lot.
That's awesome. That's a great story. And thank you for sharing that. Okay. So think about when you first joined Right at Home. What is one piece of advice that you can give to someone watching this who is contemplating joining the Right at Home system?
Right. I would say, like to what we just discussed, the end product is so fulfilling and satisfactory. I understand everything that has to happen to get to that end product. It's very operational and process driven. There's so many things that have to happen in sync to deliver that quality care.
Yeah.
And once you get that rocking and rolling, then focus on quality care. Focus on recruiting and retention, because that's your product, right? How you hire and select your caregivers, and then how you nurture them and cultivate them to be great and to retain them. That's your end product. So focus on quality, understand all the processes that have to be put in place, because that can be overwhelming. That can be, oh my gosh, there's so much to do before I can get 1 hour of care. Sure. But you got to get that in place first. Focus on recruiting and retention and quality of care. Yeah. And then the rest really comes with it.
Wonderful. Perfect. Yeah. Wonderful advice. Thank you for that as well. Yeah. And thank you for doing this interview. I really appreciate you. And I know that the individuals who are watching this, they appreciate you taking the time to do this as well. You're a busy business owner, so thank you for taking the time to do this.
It's my pleasure. Thank you.
Yes. Okay. Have a wonderful evening.
You too.
Okay. Goodbye.
Bye.